The most surprising thing that happened to me in this past year was discovering the immense way in which God is working in people's lives. I work a lot with people, one-on-one and in groups, and it's just amazing how beautiful it is to accompany people. Perhaps they're going through a divorce. They discovered that they have a year to live. They're having their first child. It's just so beautiful in that sense to be so close to people's lives. Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome here to Smart Catholics Mastermind. Today we're joined by Sister Kathryn. Sister, it's good to have you with us.
It's
Thanks for
great to be
coming on
here,
today.
Dominic.
We're going to dig into a little bit more about Sister's work. She's written multiple books. She's a daughter of St. Paul. She's got her own podcast and her ministry, Touching the Sunrise. So we'll talk about that in a minute. We're really fortunate, actually, Sister, you've kindly helped us kick off a online mini retreat on prayer that's going to be happening this year. As of this interview, it's happening this weekend, but if you're catching this replay or afterwards, you should be able to join into that prayer retreat at any time in Smart Catholics. But quickly, Smart Catholics Mastermind, it's all about meeting the minds and hearts of Catholic creators. They devote their time and talent to mastering their journey, their vocation, so that normal people like you and me can live fuller lives faster, maybe get a little smarter. So, Sister Kathryn, before talking about your ministry, what is your story? How did you discern the religious life and then this ministry that you're now working in today?
I guess I'd like to start with actually something that happened on my 30-day retreat. I
Okay.
just finished a 30-day retreat. It was the most wonderful experience. And also, everything that I do in spirituality arises from my own prayer and my own spiritual journey and my own community. And the image that came to me in that retreat was the image of the basin. It's that image comes at the Last Supper when Jesus knelt over the feet of his apostles and he washed them in a basin. And I was just reflecting how that image really captures what I want to be and what I do in my life with people is actually simply to be that place of meeting between the person and Jesus, because Jesus really wants to and does bend over so humbly. He bends over our misery with his mercy. And I imagined each of those apostles as they looked down into that basin, they saw not only the mud of the streets that he was washing off, but they also saw their face and they saw his face. And it was truly this place of them being able to see each other and for the apostles to know that they were seen and they were understood. And, you know, the streets at the time of Jesus were really messy. They didn't have sidewalks like we do. So they really needed to wash their feet. But we really do need to wash all the messy places of our lives also, because the paths that we walk, they're all different. They also leave behind grime and wounds and hurts and pains. And Jesus, in his compassion, really wants to kneel in front of us, which is just so amazing. Our God wants to kneel in front of us and bend over our misery with his mercy. So I kind of feel that as I look back over my life now, that my mission from the very beginning has really been to be simply that place where Jesus and the person meet, practically, not just to teach them about how to pray, but practically how does Jesus want to heal you, want to hold you, and want to bring you to this inner peace. I entered when I was 15 in 1978, but I was 21 when I had a stroke. And that stroke really kind of defined my life. It was a
Wow.
major change in everything. And I was a very ambitious 21-year-old, ready to face the world and conquer the world for Christ. And that stroke really brought me to standstill, as I began to learn how to walk again and all those things that you do. And, but, like psychologically or emotionally, I still had troubles for years afterwards until I was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy. So it was that whole like 12-year journey that really kind of formed me. It was a different novitiate in a sense, in which God, used many different tools to make my heart open up. I remember after the stroke, like wondering why me and why did God do this and where was God, and struggling with my faith, sitting in the back of the chapel, like glaring at the cross. I don't like you.
Yeah.
And yet God really used that time. I was not the person I thought I was, and he transformed me, and is still transforming me since then. So out of that experience and my prayer and all of these experiences since then and before then, I've developed this kind of path that's practical, and it helps you to find the tools to begin to meet Jesus at the Basin, in a sense.
It's so beautiful. Have you read the book The Reed of God by Carol Houselander?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, because that image of the basin really reminds me of, I think she introduced 3 different, what are they, like ways we relate to God. One is a reed or a flute. One is a chalice that contains one channels, and I can't remember the third one. Oh, the nest, for like the Christ child or something. And that reminds me of that.
Yeah, and the word Cana is also actually land of reeds. It's a place of fragility and vulnerability and weakness. And that's where Christ did his first miracle. That's where his hour came. And so I really believe that it's in our places of vulnerability and in those places of the reeds in our life that God does his miracles. Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, those are the not the weak spots, but those are the spots where like he can get in where we are not as
Yes.
harsh or strong against him. But
Yeah.
so talk about then Touching the Sunrise. Why did you pick the name? And you've gone on to write books about I think it was surviving depression, and you've got a podcast. So share with us your ministry. What do you do?
I believe that everybody wants to touch the sunrise in their own life. When we're in the dark, then we're wondering, like, does God hear me? Does God see me? Does God get what's going on with my life? But when we're in the light, when the dawn from on high breaks upon us, like in the beginning of Luke, the Gospel of Luke, then we have this sense that we're overshadowed by glory, that God is doing something for us and in us. So Touching the Sunrise was just almost a serendipitous, very quick, momentary choice that I made because it's full of hope. The dawn is full of hope. That a new day is coming, and new things can happen in our lives. So Surviving Depression was my first book that came out after the stroke, and that was precisely about healing. And the full title is Surviving Depression, A Catholic Approach. And those who've read it, it's been translated in many different languages, but those who've read it, many people have said, I knew faith had something to do with what I was going through, but I couldn't figure it out. And really, that book helps you find it's holistic, so it does everything like diet and light and vitamins and all this kinds of stuff. But it also helps you see a path in which you can walk through that moment or lifetime of vulnerability and struggle with God practically. So it talks about the sacrament of confession and the Eucharist and special stations of the cross, specifically for those who are suffering with depression, and in different ways in which God shows that he cried in his life and he suffered in his life in different saints. And the most recent one that has to do with healing is Reclaim Regret. And since I'm in my midlife now, that one has to do about midlife, anyone that's looking at their life and saying, why did this happen? And where was God? And disappointments that we have with God and with our own life. And that arose out of a retreat also. As I started praying with some of the scriptures, I was praying with a woman who washed Jesus' feet. And she had been healed of 7 devils or whatever it was. And so she was watching Jesus come into the house of Simon the leper and wondering if he would remember her. And he came in and was like, there's no water to wash my feet. This is not a friendly dinner party that I thought it was. So he's looking around the room to see if someone there sees him, knows him, is friendly to him. And as she sees him look at her and sees the huge smile on his face, she knew she was not a number to him. She knew he had a name. She had a name. And she knew that he remembered only the person that he had remade in her. And everybody wants that in their life. They want a new chance. Every new day is a new chance. And so Reclaim Regret is full of these meditations and a practical path to really integrate your past and the struggles of your life going forward.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you want to add to that?
So Touching the Sunrise, touchingthesunrise.com is my little website. It has a blog. It has access to all of my books. We also have a Facebook group that meets on Tuesday evenings, and it's a free Facebook group, but you're welcome to come. And it actually, we go through some of these ways of finding Jesus in a more practical way, and deep, really understanding of the scriptures. And then heart work is a process of group spiritual formation that really helps you honor your story, and it creates a space in which you can safely explore that story, explore what is happening to you, gain the tools that will help you come home to your own heart and discover the Trinity within you, and to discover how God in his compassion is putting a torrential downpour of mercies into your life. No matter what has been in your life, no matter what you've done or what others have done to you, his mercy is the foundation of your life.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. For those who are watching, if you're enjoying hearing from Sister and you want to help more people maybe hear, please hit that like button right now. It really does help YouTube share this video with more people. Sister, in a second, I want to ask you, 2 questions. One, who's the right kind of person who really enjoys working with you? And then we can also touch base on the Abide in Me retreat that you and I are working on. But very quickly, this show is brought to you by the Free Catholic community on SmartCatholics.com. We're free of trolls and ads and toxicity. We're faithful to the Holy Father, Pope Francis, and the Church. And we're committed to a culture of kindness and learning. Does that sound like you? Well, come and check us out at SmartCatholics.com. So, Sister, for your ministry, who's the right kind of person, or the kind of person, or maybe the stage in their life who just really gets what it is that you're offering, really resonates with you, and gets the most out of what you have to share?
The person who knows that they've lived a Christian life or a Catholic life, but they want more. They feel that God is asking more of them, or they're going through a difficult time in their life and they don't quite have, all the building blocks to building a new life and building a new relationship with God. Because every change that happens in our life, our relationship with God actually alters and changes too. And it's just like when you get married, your relationships kind of alter and change, and as you grow through your life, and that happens with God too. So it's people who would like to be with others, journey with them, and find a deeper way into the life of God.
Beautiful. And then the Abide With Me project that you and I have been working on,
Yes.
I was so grateful to have you come on board. With that, we're excited to be able to bring this to the Smart Catholics community. My dream was to well, be able to share some of the insights or even just the state of peace and rest that I have discovered purely by the more meditative, contemplative path of, instead of always asking for things in prayer, to begin to recognize that,
Yes.
as Scripture says, nothing can separate us from God, neither height nor depth, nor distance, nothing. And to begin to sit in that and to rest in that. And so I reached out to you, and you very graciously came on board. And then you blew me away with the beautiful retreat that you put together, when you created almost nine different entry points into prayer for a 9-day retreat. And I think it's important to help people begin to see that there are so many different ways to enter into prayer. But I think we're all used to thinking of one kind, and when it doesn't work, we don't know what to do with it, and so we get rid of it. And so, in working with you in this and being able to bring this to the community, the name of this thing really sums it up just beautifully. Abide in me and I in you. And that's all it asks for, in those moments of prayer. Any thoughts or encouragement or recommendations for people along those lines?
Yeah, it's, different personalities pray in different ways. So it's, like you said, it's really helpful to have a variety of ways, of different days we pray in different ways. The other thing that's really important to realize is there's a lot of mindfulness language going around, and it kind of distorts our understanding of Christian prayer. And so what I wanted to do in this retreat is really root us in the Christian understanding of prayer. So many people leave and go to things like that because they think that's the only place they can find the rest, that they can find the inner peace. And there are many good things about mindfulness, many good things about Zen. But we can bring those in and realize that we have them in our Christian tradition, but no one talks about them. And no one has like a practical guided way of leading you into them. So it almost is like a mentoring process of really deepening Christian prayer, deepening that that being with Jesus at the Basin, seeing Jesus and allowing Jesus to see you.
I think that's perfect. I think that's a great place to end. I hope that people do enjoy the retreat. You've been doing this for a long time, and I feel like I've only just taken up that call more seriously in the last year or so, and it really is transformative, because it's not just like, oh, here's a new way to pray. It's like, no, this is a different way to live, and it's something that we're so often exhausted by the modern world and by just life, that we have been told this is what normal is. And to be able to actually detach from that and step away from it all, not to run away, but just step away for a minute and kind of reclaim ourselves, and rediscover the presence of God, the active indwelling of God. So, Sister, obviously, if you're on the Smart Catholics list, we'll shoot out notifications and you can join us, and the replays will be available afterwards. So we hope you do come and join us, and it's something special when we do it together as a group. So excited for this to begin this coming Saturday, and then we'll have the replays available afterwards. But if people want to catch up with you, Sister, or learn more about you, can you repeat again where they can find you online?
Online, you can find me at touchingthesunrise.com.
Fantastic. And then my favorite part of each episode is you were to, as we close out, if you had 1 minute to share a message to Catholics everywhere, what would you want to share?
You are immensely loved. You are immensely loved. If we could only understand how much we are cherished by God the Father, it would change our lives forever. It would change our lives forever.